Here is your latest African news bulletin. South Africa and Zimbabwe. Nearly 250,000 Zimbabweans demand courts to compel Home Affairs to grant them permanent residency in South Africa. A large number of Zimbabwean nationals are currently facing possible deportation as their special dispensation permits expire in a month's time. The Zimbabwean Exemption Permit Holders Association, representing roughly 250,000 Zimbabweans in South Africa, has asked the Gauteng High Court to declare them permanent residents as their Zimbabwe exemption permits expire in November 2021. They are also demanding that the court directs the Minister for Home Affairs to issue them with South African ID documents on the grounds that they are permanent residents in South Africa in terms of the Immigration Act read together with the Identification Act. Above that, they want the court to review and set aside the decision by Home Affairs not to renew residency permits, knowing that the holders of the permits have known no other home besides South Africa for more than 10 years. They say the decision by Home Affairs was unconscionable, irrational, unreasonable, and unconstitutional, according to the court papers, as they believe that they are entitled to enjoy similar privileges as South Africans. Sudan. Sudan military dissolves transitional government in apparent coup. Soldiers arrested most of the members of Sudan's cabinet on Monday, and a military officer dissolved the transitional government while opponents of the takeover took to the streets where gunfire and injuries were reported. Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, a general who headed the Sovereign Council, a power-sharing ruling body, announced a state of emergency across the country and dissolved the council and the transitional government. Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok was detained and moved to an undisclosed location after refusing to issue a statement in support of the coup, said the Information Ministry, still apparently under the control of Hamdok's supporters. The ministry called for resistance against the coup. It said tens of thousands of people opposed to the takeover had taken to the streets and had faced gunfire near the military's headquarters in the capital Khartoum. Eswatini. Nurses in Eswatini are refusing to treat police officers as they have accused the authorities of shooting their colleagues during pro-democracy rallies that have rocked the southern African country. According to local media, earlier this week, health workers and other public sector employees who went to deliver a petition to Parliament demanding better living conditions were met with an unprecedented show of force, the Swaziland Democratic Nurses Union said. Eswatini, previously Swaziland, is Africa's last absolute monarchy. According to Twitter reports, the Nurses Union described the police as a brood of vipers. King Mswati III this week ordered the immediate and indefinite closure of schools in the kingdom after the protests flared up. Students and pupils boycotted lessons and called for free schooling as well as an end to Mswati's rule. Ethiopia. Ethiopia airstrikes target Tigray rebels as aerial campaign continues. Ethiopia has carried out 2 airstrikes in Tigray as the government intensifies a nearly week-old campaign of aerial bombardment against the rebellious forces who control most of the region. One strike hit the western area of Maitsabri on Sunday, targeting a training site of the Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF), the government spokesperson Legesse Tulu said. The other hit a military manufacturing facility controlled by the TPLF in the northern town of Adwa, the government said in a statement. Libya. Libya moves closer to holding high-risk presidential elections. Libya has moved closer to high-risk elections after the electoral officer said he would set out the electoral roll this week, open nominations for the post of president in November, and distribute voting cards in weeks. Facing stiff internal resistance to holding elections, he insisted the presidential election would be held in 2 stages, with a presidential runoff and elections to a parliament being held together afterwards. He said each presidential candidate will require 5,000 nominations. It will be the first time Libya has been led by a president. The announcement by Dr. Ahmad Al-Sayeh, the head of the High National Elections Commission, was designed to put some momentum in the move towards elections, but he did not set a date for either of the 2 rounds of elections and admitted basic details on how the country's constitution and election will operate remain to be resolved. Nigeria. Medical tourism affecting Nigeria's foreign reserves, central bank governor. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has stated that medical tourism is affecting Nigeria's foreign reserves negatively. Emefiele made the above statement at the launch of privately owned Duchess International Hospital in Lagos. He made use of the medium to call on the private sector to invest in the health sector and provide world-class facilities that will attract medical tourists from different parts of the world, which in turn will boost the nation's economy. Liberia. Liberian teen who returned $50,000 named Integrity Ambassador and placed on monthly salary. More blessings pour in for Liberia's honest teen as he has been appointed as Integrity Ambassador and placed on a $500 monthly salary after his kind gesture towards a businesswoman caught the attention of the country's president, George Weah. The 19-year-old Emmanuel Tuloy became a subject for discussion after he found and returned the sum of $50,000 to a businesswoman. Following the reports, President George Weah invited and rewarded him with the sum of $10,000, a scholarship up to master's level, plus other additions. Africa and COVID-19. Namibia to suspend use of Russian COVID-19 vaccine, says the ministry. Namibia will suspend its rollout of Russia's Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine, its health ministry said on Saturday, days after the drugs regulator in neighboring South Africa flagged concerns about its safety for people at risk of HIV. The Gamaleya Research Institute, which developed Sputnik V, said Namibia's decision was not based on any scientific evidence or research. South African regulator SAPRA decided not to approve an emergency use application for Sputnik V for now because, it said, some studies suggested that administration of vaccines using the adenovirus type 5 vector, which Sputnik V does, was associated with higher susceptibility to HIV in men. Namibia's health ministry said in a statement that the decision to discontinue the use of the Russian vaccine was out of an abundance of caution that men who received Sputnik V may be at higher risk of contracting HIV, adding that it had taken SAPRA's decision into account. Malema admits he is vaccinated.
Vaccinated myself, no one forced me, no one will force me. As a Marxist and a Leninist, I believe in science. And therefore, I don't care with this conspiracy theory that we are going to die. They would have killed us long time ago. They control everything.
I vaccinated because I saw the Jews, the Jewish people vaccinated. The Jews don't play with their lives. Those things of threatening life, they take very seriously, said EFF leader Julius Malema as he addressed hundreds of students and supporters in Cape Town on Friday. The address was part of EFF's campaign in the Western Cape ahead of the November 1 elections. Thanks for watching. Visit our news website weloveafrica.net to stay updated with all the latest African developments and future events. Remember to share, like, and leave your comments below.